Reddit. What is the cringiest moment someone corrected you but was so very wrong? About 1 year into our marriage we bought a dining table and chairs. Our first real furniture. My wife was so happy she posted pics on Facebook and wanted her mom to look. Her mom commented on the phone that it was a nice oval table. Wife is upset. You didn't look. Yes, I did. It's not oval. It's rectangular. No, it's an oval. I looked. Wife finally gets her mom to go look. Her mom sees that she is incorrect and creates this gem. Well, that's what I call it. LOL, you call rectangles ovals? This has become a running gag for us. Whenever we lose an argument we always end it with, well, that's what I call it. My little brother doubles down with the that's what I call it whenever he gets proven wrong. Every time. It drives me insane. Was at the zoo. Said it's crazy that there are penguins in South Africa. Friend says that I'm wrong and that there aren't any in Africa because it's way too hot. Told him the only reason I brought it up is because we were literally at the African penguin exhibit. Please tell him about the penguins in the Galapagos, which is on the equator. I was a stay-at-home dad for my 2 daughters. My youngest was a toddler at the time. Had a lady tell me that I had no business bathing my children because I was male and they were female. I welcomed her to the 21st century and told her to mind her own freaking business. My friend had this mindset when we were in high school. Said she wouldn't be able to trust a man, even her husband, around their kid if she had a daughter. I told her if she couldn't trust her husband not to be a pedophile then she shouldn't be getting married. She gave it some thought and thankfully changed her mind. My 9th grade English teacher had us do an exercise on homonyms. Here was one of the sentences where we had to pick the correct word to use. Jack and Jill walked past the gas station. Naturally, I put past, only to be marked wrong. I inquired about it, and my teacher was like, no, Jeff, that's like the past, present, and future. How this moron became an English teacher, I have no idea. I've gotten into similar arguments with English teachers. I had one who was adamant that the possessivits should have an apostrophe. My dad actually printed out a page on the subjects and sent me to school with it. Huh. My ex told me there was no gravity on the moon. We literally got in a fight about it, and even after showing her proof she denied it rather than admit she was wrong. My 9th grade science teacher told me there was no gravity on the moon. When I explained, like we'd learned the year before, that everything with mass has a gravitational pull, and that the moon does have gravity, it's just less than Earth because it has less mass than Earth. Her response was no, that doesn't sound right, otherwise things would be sticking to me. I was the person who needed correcting. In grade 2, I explained to my entire class, as pretentiously as a 7-year-old could, that the singular of sheep is shoop. My logic was the singular of geese is goose, and that rule applied to sheep too. I still remember the other kids looking at me like I was dropped on my head as a baby. Same. When I was in kindergarten, I told all the other kids that the word dumb was spelled D-U-M-B-C in one of the Bugs Bunny Wall-E Coyote cartoons. Bugs said and mud spelled backwards is dumb. The teacher tried to correct me but I was insistent and eventually burst into tears. BC, I had just seen the cartoon that weekend. Damn it, Ms. Howley. Senior kindergarten, I had an activity for Mother's Day to color some pre-printed card with 3 tulips. The teacher told us to color them red, yellow and orange. 6-year-old me colored one purple because I didn't like orange. My teacher told me I was wrong, and to redo it because purple tulips don't exist. Told my mom when I got home. She cut the purple tulip out of our garden and I took it to class the next day to prove my teacher wrong. Someone corrected me on my gender once during a phone call. Gender neutral name. People screw it up online all the time. Could I speak to Project Break, please? This is she. No, Project Break is a man. I gave him a moment of silence to sort himself out while I wheezed with trying to hold back laughter. Project Break is a unique gender neutral name. I like it. We were at the beach and my wife was putting sunscreen on our toddler. A woman sitting close to us rolled her eyes and said to my wife, "That boy doesn't need sunscreen. Helicopter parents raise soft kids." Ridiculous. We are pretty far from overprotective parents, so it caught us off guard for sure. Apparently you can't raise a tough kid unless you give them the chance to develop skin cancer. My friend told me not to put sun cream on my son at the beginning of summer because you have to get a sunburn to start to tan. Look it up online. Just so much number. Bought curtains with GF and later decided we wanted to do other windows the same, so we went back. I don't think these are the same color. I said. Of course they are, she replied. And then later, in front of friends, made fun of me because men don't get colors. See? Haha. They all laughed. Later we looked at them side by side. Different dialects. Whoops. What language is the most spoken in the world? Me. Chinese. Probably, I think. Person. Whoa. No. It's Portuguese. Everyone knows that Robocop 1 inches. Well, they're not too far off. They just forgot about Chinese, English, Spanish, Arabic, and Hindi. Guy told me he went to Nice for holiday. I said the south of France is a beautiful place. The guy laughs and tells me Nice is in Italy, but it's an easy mistake to make. I'm too shocked to respond. How the frick do you go on holiday and not know which country you were in? Till Nice is not in Italy. I'm honestly not that dumb. Well, maybe I am, but Nice sounds so Italian to me. I was playing a pickup soccer match, and I said something about scoring a goal directly from a corner kick. This guy immediately corrects me and says that goals directly from a corner don't count. He was absolutely adamant, and talked about how he's played the sport his whole life, and that it doesn't count at any level of the game. He's completely wrong. I imagine a goal from anywhere in bounds would count, and I have never played the game or really watched it. My mother-in-law is convinced that The Hobbit is a 2-book series. I tried to disabuse her of this notion, including by showing her Wikipedia and copies of the book available on Amazon. She wouldn't have it. Eventually the argument became heated and we had to agree to disagree. I still bring it up sometimes to my wife because it bugs her. You can't agree to disagree about facts. I was arguing with my ex and I told her that I'm allowed to converse with anyone I'd like. She stopped the argument to tell me the word is converse and not converse. Oh dear God. I was working as a receptionist on summer break from college. One day a woman with a tired Midwestern middle-aged voice called from a potential vendor's office to ask for our mailing address. So I rattle off 60 West 26th Street, Suite 400. She stops me and asks me to repeat. So I do. She stops me again and asks in this faux puzzled way. So that's SWEET 400, spelling out sweet. I reply with innocent earnestness, because I think somehow I have not been clear, that it is sweet. SUITE. She responds with this incredulous yet delighted laugh that goes on for what seemed like 5 minutes. Dear, you don't pronounce that sweet, she said like she was talking to a 5-year-old that just failed kindergarten. It's pronounced suit. I think she must be joking or I still haven't made myself clear. So I actually say haha, no, sorry I wasn't clear. It's sweet. Sweet. You know, like a suite of offices. Then she sighs wearily like she just can't believe what she has to deal with, and levels with me. So she thinks, look, I feel bad telling you this, but you are making a complete fool of yourself every time you say your office address. I know you are going to be embarrassed, but when you get off the phone with me, go find a dictionary and have someone else explain to you how to pronounce suite. It's probably not your fault. Your parents probably had no schooling and you were badly educated, so you don't know any better. But if you don't want to be fired, you'll do I say for your own good. She then proceeds to make me say the address again, insisting I pronounce sweet as suit, not allowing me to continue if I say it correctly. So I mutter my way through it and she finally gets off the phone after telling me that I would thank her one day. I just kept wishing she had inadvertently put the phone down wrong so it didn't disconnect, because I was pretty sure the next sentence out of her mouth to anyone within ear's reach in her office would be, "My God, you wouldn't believe the fool I just spoke to." She kept telling me her office suite number. I didn't know what she was talking about, so I made her spell it for me because I wasn't previously aware a human being could be so stupid as to pronounce SUITE as sweet, when anyone with half a brain cell knows it's pronounced suit. Why oh why do they give morons jobs only to have everyone go? I'm wondering if they should be the one to break the news. I just kept wishing she had inadvertently put the phone down wrong so it didn't disconnect. Well, on the upside, you can be pretty sure the rest happened as you said. Someone like that would be all too pleased to tell everyone about that silly girl she spoke to on the phone. My mum. She had mental health problems and would express and insist on bizarre truths when she was ill. My BF at the time came over. He said his parents were going to Hawaii. I said that I always wanted to visit an island in the Pacific. My mum asked if I was stupid. Hawaii is in Africa. She sounded the letters out extra long for emphasis. I just said I must have forgotten that and did my best not to laugh. My BF became indignant and despite my frantically waving no proceeded to try to correct her and say that I was right. That didn't go over very well. I spent the next half hour, in private, trying to explain to him what illusions are. That sounds hard for everyone. My first week as a freshman in a college literature class, I referred to the peonies mentioned in a story and my classmate said, "It's pronounced ponies." I looked doubtful and said, "Really? I'm pretty sure it's just peonies." She went on a bit of a rant about how her grandmother grew them and she knew all about them. Not everybody at a good university is necessarily all that bright. Well, not everyone is bright about everything. Some people are just dumb about admitting to being wrong. My little brother, then 8, read a neighborhood flyer about a pool party and pronounced hors d'oeuvre as horse d'oeuvre. My friend, a know-it-all, then 16, laughed in a really exaggerated way and said, "I can't believe you just pronounced hors d'oeuvre as horse d'oeuvre." Hope that makes sense. I still make fun of her for that. Sounds like she was full of horse manure. A few weeks ago I was stung by a bee in a theme park and the stinger wouldn't come out. I started getting a really bad rash from the venom and the first aid lady laughed at me and said it wasn't coming from the bee sting because venom? Bees don't have venom. She refused to give me any tweezers to help get the stinger out because I was acting like a baby. Probably when I was 5 years old and just starting school. My first name used to be one commonly spelt with a Y at the end. However, mine was actually spelt with an I at the end instead. I wrote my name down and my teacher kept telling me I'd spelt it wrong. And we both argued and got very frustrated with each other. She was very embarrassed when another teacher put her in her place for shouting at me to the point of tears when I'd actually spelled my name correctly. I had a teacher once correct my spelling of wolves, plural noun, to wolves. This was an English teacher and the editor of the school paper for which I was writing. She was the regular English teacher while I was in AP, so I wasn't familiar enough with her to realize that she was a blithering idiot. She also preferred to spell the plural of elf as elves rather than elves. My 6th grade English teacher took points off my spelling test because I spelled it extraordinary. She told me it was extraordinary, which is simply how she pronounced it. I'm not bitter at all. My dad adamantly refused to believe that narwhals were real. I had to show him not just photos, but video of narwhals before he finally believed me. In all fairness, they're maybe the fakest animal that exists. They all look like they're drawn by 5-year-olds. Also, did you know the horn is just one tooth that's really long and comes through their lip, so it's not even in the center. It's enough to drive a person mad. Had a really self-assured science teacher. Here are some highlights. Told us Harambe was shot for trying to eat the child. Told us gorillas were carnivores. When asked why, she said that no animal that big can survive off of plants. Lady, you taught about dinosaurs. One of our subs had nicknames that she liked being called. One of them was Wicked Witch of the West, because she was very nice and not witch-like at all. The teacher told us which sub we would have before she arrived, and one of the students said, "Oh, the Wicked Witch." That student got detention. When the sub arrived, we all made a point to greet her as Wicked Witch. If that didn't shock the teacher, then the sub's delight at us remembering her nickname from 3 years ago was show-stopping. Told us that people in Florida didn't have basements. My aunt actually lived in Florida at the time and had a basement. Told us that the school handbook prevented us from having our phones not shut all the way down. It said no such thing. A student asked how fast the earth revolved. The teacher said flatly, 1 year. The student rephrased his question, realizing what he was asking and what the teacher thought he had asked were different. He asked at how many miles per hour the earth spun on its axis. 1 year, barked the teacher. 3 or 4 different people tried to explain the question, and one got sent to the hall. This lady was mid-40s and was adamant that we were not allowed to fact check her. A student got detention from googling the Haram incident because she was supposedly out of area on her laptop. An adult woman, 1821, tried to fiercely argue with me, a 17-year-old boy, that women didn't have urethras and that they peed from the clitoris. I ran into our local vet and her very religious younger sister. As the vet and I talked, her sister looked out into the store parking lot and saw an older man staggering to his truck. Little sister said, very primly, "There but for the grace of God go I." I said, "Actually, he is a very well respected man." She replied, "He is obviously drunk before noon." "No," I said, "he has me's. He's my father and your sister's pastor." Big sister just looked embarrassed. "There but for the grace of God go I." I don't even know what this is supposed to mean. In 5th grade health class, I said that it wasn't true that gum takes 7 years to pass through your digestive system. My teacher then says that it is very dangerous to swallow gum because in your stomach you have an organ that mashes up your food, and when you swallow gum it gets stuck to that organ. She then said that eventually, if you swallow too much gum, you will no longer be able to digest food. Is it that hard to tell kids about stomach acid? It is when the teacher doesn't understand how it works themselves. I said to my mom in a conversation about World War II that the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, but she said that's wrong. North Korea did that. My dad, when he corrected me about how sugar causes health problems, my explanation is the whole fat storage, insulin resistance, diabetes thing, is that when you eat sugar, its rough edges nick the insides of your veins and arteries, roughing them up and making things catch on all the nicks, leading to blood clots, strokes, and myriad other problems. He also still believes that blood is red, blue, and black. He's got a whole host of weird health facts. He's like the walking, talking version of those old medical catalogs that sold butt plugs for hysteria or some crap. I love him to death. I adore him enough to have him come live with us, but we do just shake our heads sometimes. He's just out of sorts, probably an imbalance in his humors. Bleed him a little, get some of that bile out, you'll be right as rain. At my little sister's confirmation, I was her sponsor. I was 18, she was 14. Woman next to me got all nasty because I was nodding off and said I should be ashamed and I was being disrespectful. What she didn't know was that I had end-stage liver failure and had hepatic encephalopathy. Plus I was on a lot of pain meds. Afterwards I told my mom about it. Sponsors were seated separately from parents, and she was P. She cornered B woman in the bathroom and just reamed her. B lady skulked out very quickly after that. Glad to say a year later I got my transplant and am now healthy and doing great, turning 27 in 10 days. Good on your mom for chewing the lady out. I'm planning a game night between friends. One friend is not part of my usual circle and questioned why I needed a veggie pizza. Another friend is a vegetarian. IDK the small differences between vegan vegetation etc. and I explained it was for her. Also, the veggie pizza is amazing. The out of circle friend being a smug frick pointed out pizza has cheese. Well yes, but the veggie friend is okay with milk and eggs as it doesn't kill the animal. Friendo, eating eggs is murder. Me, what? It doesn't kill chickens to lay eggs. Friendo, it kills the baby chicken. Oh geez. Oh man. Oh goodness gracious. I did correct him and he did accept the correction. But he was so excited to poke holes in my friend's diet just because of the vegetarian thing. Masturbation. All those dead babies. Cringy and also infuriating. My grandmother has Alzheimer's. I was explaining it to a few people when this girl in my class butts in and states that 1. Alzheimer's doesn't exist. Only dementia exists. 2. Alzheimer's is like crippling autism. It took all of my strength not to punch her into the next universe. I felt incredibly insulted and was, understandably, furious. Everybody was shocked at how rude and misinformed she was. Well, actually the slaves didn't have it all that bad. The plantation owners took pretty good care of them because they paid good money for them. My father-in-law, both my husband and myself were speechless. I kind of still am. They kept them alive I guess. Sometimes. Me, I prefer vacations in more mountainous areas than tropical, since I am pretty scared of the ocean. Sharks especially. My sister, Just go somewhere where sharks don't go, like Hawaii. Duh, me. Your sister is a dummy. I love Hawaii, but if you just stick to the beach you are likely never gonna see me. The water is often too shallow. My husband and I were having a party at our house. I am a historian and have tons of old and unique things from around the world. A woman was looking at my collection of maps from around the world. I have a copy of the first map of the world and she asked why the edge was wavy. I told her the map maker knew the earth was round and decided to make the edge wavy for accuracy. But the earth is flat, says the lady. We are not friends anymore. I guess I have too much faith in humanity to think people could actually believe the earth is flat. Peer reviewing in high school, which is fine until you take a non-honors English course and other kids can't spell. I'm an English major, and I wanted to be at the time, so you better believe I had a solid freaking grasp on spelling and grammar. I can understand minor uninformed corrections, but this one just made me angry. I believe the sentence I wrote was something along the lines of he was definitely lying. It was corrected to he is definitely lying, with a question mark by definitely that pointed to a note on the side that said not a word. Did you mean defiantly? I swear I've never been angrier in my life. And that child went on to create autocorrect. The ducking idiot. I was at a hair salon with my mother years ago. We started to talk about the movie Django because we both just recently watched it. Then this random girl next to us says it's pronounced Django. We just both looked at her, first off for just being rude and interrupting our conversation, but also for saying Django wrong and trying to correct us. I just looked at her and said that he is silent. It's a line in the movie. It's in the trailers. A foreign student at my crappy community college randomly started lecturing me on the difference between where and were after I asked where I should go to make up a test. Unfortunately, he didn't really understand English as well as he thought and he had them mixed up. He thought I should have asked where do I go to make up the test. There were a few other students around and none of us had the heart to stop him. So he went on condescendingly for a while about grammar while I just stood there confused and a little annoyed at his audacity. He finally ended it by saying it's okay, you'll get it eventually, as if he had just explained some super complicated crap. I never bothered correcting him on it, but I wonder if he looks back and cringes about hard he failed to correct someone on their own native language. The time I signed up for something, putting my name on a list, and the person signing people up said to me, I think you meant to write other more common name that is spelled similarly, WTF. I know my own name, thanks. My 9th grade science teacher was teaching us about animal breeding. He said every animal only has offspring in favorable conditions, except humans of course, and in front of the entire class I said, what about bears? They have cubs in the winter. My teacher told me no they don't, and we had a very small argument in the middle of class. Whole class chucked at me a bit and I just ended with sorry I don't know the mating habits of a bear. At the end of class the C approached me with Google open and told me that I was in fact right. We never told my teacher he was wrong, but still. Take that, Mr. Ma. My sister's friend was convinced null was not a word. We were in a car without internet, early 2000s aka Stone Age, for several hours and it got heated. I'm a programmer. I type null a lot. I was talking to this girl at my school who was very proud to be Italian, meaning her ancestors were. She wasn't. She was very excited to meet me because I am an international student from Rome. She asked me to speak Italian, and as she said so my mom called from Rome. I answered and we started speaking. At the end of the phone call my mom said have a great day, in Italian, and I answered grazie. As I hung up the phone this girl started correcting my pronunciation of grazie, saying that you're supposed to say grazie. Never laughed so much. This hurt to read. I get being proud of having a connection to another language, but to think you might know more about it than someone from that actual country. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.